Well, everybody is waiting for a housing market crash, but Redfin just revealed a shocking truth. Prices are dropping in many cities throughout the US, but new listings are also stalling. And this is a major warning sign if you're on the sidelines hoping to purchase a home at a discount, because a lot of these markets, a lot of them in Florida, unbelievably, are actually down year over year in new listings. And at the same time, we have the median sale price continues to rise both nationally and in places like Columbus, Ohio, where I live or near where I live. Now it's at a record $356,000, an all-time high for Columbus, Ohio. So, what's happening in the housing market? That's what we're looking at today on The Housing Nerd. So, thank you for joining me. My name is Jason Ferrier. I've been a realtor and investor for the last 7.5 years in the Central Ohio market. And if you're looking for a channel on YouTube for the housing market where you get an unbiased, unfiltered, real take from somebody who lives in the housing market every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you came to the right channel. So this is all about the housing market, folks. And what we're going to do is look at the national Redfin update today. And then we're going to dive into specific metros that you have requested as the viewer. So if you have a metro you want me to analyze, drop it in the comments below, and I'm happy to get to it. All right. So, and I'll also get to your comments too, obviously. But I appreciate you joining me this morning. All right. So the name of this Redfin article is Some Would-Be Home Sellers Are Stepping Back as the Market Tilts Towards Buyers. Yeah, like I'm sure you know this by now. If you've been watching my channel, you would know that new listings are like the signal for distress in the housing market. And there's a lot of people that want to see massive distress in the housing market. So comment and tell me if that's you. Are you someone that's like, hey, I want to see distress? Like maybe you don't even want to buy a house. Maybe you just want to see carnage. And that's fine. You know, I understand that. But the fact is that if you need to sell your home because of distress, you are going to list your property. Like you're not going to like ghost list it. You're not going to put a shadow listing on the market. Right? You're going to go, all right, I got to sell my property. I got to sell it today. I'm going to list the freaking house. Well, right now, new listings, while they are up year over year, they're not like skyrocketing up. And in many locations where you would think new listings would be skyrocketing, they're not. And so we're going to dive into that. But yeah, let's get into this article. All right. Many prospective home buyers are sidelined by near record costs and economic uncertainty, creating a buyer's market in many parts of the country. That's true. In many parts of the country, you would consider it a buyer's market. That's deterring some would-be sellers. New listings of U.S. homes for sale rose 6.3% year over year during the 4 weeks ending June 1st, one of the smallest increases of the last 3 months. New listings declined year over year in 11 of the 50 most populous U.S. metros, with the biggest drops in San Jose and 4 Florida metros: Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, West Palm Beach. Again, like I would just guess that if there was a massive amount of distress and carnage in areas like San Jose, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, West Palm Beach, and the other 11 metros, right? The 11 metros that are down with new listings, you would think that they would be up in new listings, because new listings have been so bad over the past few years that, you know, you would just assume that you'd be up. But a lot of areas, you know, there's 11 areas that aren't in the top 50. Zooming in on recent weeks, new listings fell during the second half of May, While it's typical for listings to decline after peaking in mid-May, this year's drop was the biggest for that time period in a decade. I mean, think about that. So obviously, this time of year, you're like, hey, people are listing their homes, spring, people are coming out of school, right? And so it's a good time to maybe move and look for a new house a lot of times. But right now, people are like, nah, that's all right. I'll wait. I'll wait to list till some other time. On the buying side, pending home sales dropped. Can't highlight this. Pending home sales declined 0.4% year over year to their lowest May level since 2020, and mortgage purchase applications fell 3% week over week. Prospective buyers are backing off because housing costs are near record highs, with the median home sale price up 1.2% year over year and the weekly average mortgage rate approaching 7%, and because the U.S. economy is unpredictable. Comment below. Tell me when you were last conscious that the U.S. economy was predictable. It's unpredictable right now, they say. Yeah, I guess it is. But is it ever predictable? You either have an election, you either have midterm elections, you got the bird flu, you got COVID, you've got tariffs, you've got the stock market, you've got the housing market, you've got the bond market, you've got the derivatives market, you've got whatever, property taxes. There's a million reasons that the economy is always uncertain and unpredictable. It's just it's just never predictable, right? If it was, you wouldn't be watching this. You would just be counting all your money. While there are hundreds of thousands more home sellers than buyers on the market and new listings are still rising, the recent decline in listings suggests that some of the spring's would-be sellers are backing off. The typical home now sells for about 1% less than the asking price, the biggest discount for this time of year since 2020. And just about 28% of homes sell for above their asking price, down from 32% this time last year. So, yeah, people are still paying over asking for homes. That still happens. In fact, here in Columbus, here in the central Ohio area, I'm a realtor. I list homes for people, obviously, and help people buy homes. And a couple of the deals I've listed recently have sold at or over asking, and several of them have sold or in contract with multiple offers. Now, they are affordable homes. They're in that $200 to $250 price range that here in the central Ohio area is like the sweet spot. And they're good homes. But people are still paying over asking, and there still are bidding wars. That is still happening. I wouldn't say it's a war. It's just more like multiple offers. You may get 3 offers, right? 4 offers. You're not getting 10. Let me see if I can pause this. Yeah, there we go. If a home in a desired neighborhood, especially if it's fixed up, it will sell fairly quickly, said Ben Ambrock, a Redfin premier agent in Milwaukee. But even that type of home now gets 2 or 3 offers. Hey, I agree. That's what's happening to me. As opposed to the 10 offers it would have gotten a few years ago. Sellers of homes that need work in fringe neighborhoods should be able to find a buyer, but it's important they come to the table with realistic expectations on price and timing and the willingness to negotiate. Price within a fair range based on the neighborhood. Understand the buyers will be inspecting the home and be prepared to give concessions. Great. Right. Exactly right. And he's in Milwaukee, right? This guy's in Milwaukee. Yeah. So it's not really close to me, but I consider it the Midwest, I guess. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. I am also seeing, by the way, tell me if you're seeing this, but I'm seeing people that have homes that are priced over the median. Those are struggling unless they're in perfect areas and they're in great condition and they're priced right. If they're priced high at all, they're not selling, or they're taking a long time to sell. They are. And it's weird because there's a lot of realtors here in Columbus, on Facebook. If I want to have a good laugh, I'll get on Facebook and look at the the realtor comments on just, whatever going on with the economy or the market. And they're like incredulous about the fact that there are more more sellers than buyers right now. Like they're incredulous. They're like, that's not true in my area, or properties are still selling really fast. It's like, well, it's actually like, in a weird way, if prices fell and there were a ton of sellers on the market, that would actually probably be good for us as realtors because we'd have more transactions, right? Like pending sales are barely down year over year nationwide. Like they're almost flat. So pending sales are starting to pick up a little bit. And that would be good for realtors. So like we've had it rough. I'm sure you feel sorry for us. Comment below and tell me how sorry you feel for us realtors. I'm sure you're like, man, I go to bed at night worrying about those realtors, right? Just kidding. All right. So now let's go to the leading indicators of home buying demand and activity. Daily average 30-year fixed mortgage rate, 6.87. I think this is like 6.9, but let's check it real quick. Mortgage News Daily. Let's find out what we got. 6.89. There you go. Went up 2 basis points yesterday. It's just kind of stuck right in that high 6%, low 7% range. They're saying with the jobs report and all that, it could make, change a lot. But right now, just kind of range bound, it feels like, based on what I'm seeing. A lot of people thought maybe mortgage rates would be super low right now, or already be low, by this time of the year, but they're not. So it's 6.87, 6.9, whatever. And then last year, though, look at this. Last year was 7.17. So it is down from last year. Weekly average 30-year fixed mortgage rate, we'll skip that. Mortgage purchase applications, look at this. Down 4% from a week earlier, but up 18% from last year. So either these people are looking for homes because there's 18% more mortgage purchase applications, not refi, purchase. Either one, they're being declined, or two, they've been approved and they're like, haven't bought yet. Because pending sales aren't up 18% by any means. So maybe they're just not being approved, which is possible. Or maybe they can't find a house. That's also possible. Redfin Home Buyer Demand Index, down 3% from a month earlier, up 1% from last year. Whoop-de-doo. Google searches for homes for sale, up 20% from a month earlier and up 20% from last year. Wow. That's a big increase. I will get to your comments. I like looking at the comments and interacting, so I'll get to that in a minute. After the key housing market data. Redfin's national metrics. This is the U.S. highlights for the 4 weeks ending June 1st, 2025. And this is where they talk about price and inventory and all that jazz. Pretty important stuff. Median sale price, $393,750, up 1.2% year over year. Redfin economists say this will be down 1% year over year by the end of the year. So comment below. Do you think that median sale price will end higher or lower than 2024? A lot of people have already called that it will end lower. Sometimes that's called sandbagging, right? Like we had a term when I ran a sales team called sandbagging, where you're like, I'm not going to have a very good year this year. And so you automatically like put in that you're going to be down year over year. And then if you're up or you're flat, it's like, oh, look, I did better than I thought. Not sure. We'll see. See how it turns out. Median asking price up 4.9%, $425,975. This hasn't fallen either. Monthly mortgage payment, look at this thing, $2,863 at 6.89%. That's up 4% year over year, $20 shy of the all-time high. Why is that? Well, rates are lower than last year, but prices are higher. And this is a big debate on my channel. Like, most of y'all on the channel think or like say, hey, price is more important than payment. Price is more important than rate. Now, I'm not saying you're incorrect with that, but that's not how people buy products. The U.S. consumer probably every consumer, but definitely the U.S. consumer, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether the doomers and housing bears like it or not, they buy on payment. That's why buy now, pay later is such a problem. That's why car payments and cars are such a problem right now. That's why student loans are a problem, because when they signed the promissory note saying I'm going to pay $100,000 to go to USC every year for coloring or whatever they're going for, they're like, oh, the payment's only going to be like $800 a month. But when I'm making $500K a year as a coloring artist, well, I'll be able to afford it. They're looking at the payment. They're not looking at the $100,000 tuition. That's why people are wanting lower rates. And if rates drop too much and payments drop, that's when people will buy, even if the prices haven't dropped, because most people are buying on payment. Not saying that's right, but that's how it is. Pending sales down 0.4%. Like, I'm surprised this isn't down more. I am. Like, if you read the headlines, it sounds like, man, this is off the charts low, but it's almost flat. I don't know. It could be up next week. Hard to tell. New listings, only 104,380. It's only up 6.3%. Just not a lot of new listings. Look at active listings. Only 1,132,000, up 14%. Now, you may be saying that's up 14%, housing nerd. That's a lot. But that's the smallest increase in over a year over year. So there's just not a lot of active listings out there when you really look at historical averages. In some markets there are, but nationally, that's what we're talking about right now. And then we'll get to the metros after the national look. And if you have a metro you want me to analyze, put it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to it. Months of supply up 0.7 points. So it's basically a balanced market. They consider it a balanced market right now. Share of homes off the market in 2 weeks or less, 38%. That's down from 42%. Median days on market, 36. That's up 4 days. That's not a lot. Like, this was in the 50s at one point. Homes were sitting on the market, average time 50 or median time 50 days. Now it's 36. Share of homes sold above list price, 28.4. Average sale to list price ratio, 99.1%, down from 99.5. So overall, sellers are giving about a 1% discount on the final list price, not the original list price. Big difference. All right, metro level highlights, the winners and losers. Just real quick, we'll review where they've gone, where prices, pending sales, all that stuff has gone up the most. I wish they put active listings on here, but they don't. That's too bad. But median sale price, Philadelphia, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Miami, New Brunswick all saw a large increase in median year-over-year price. Where did prices fall the most? Oakland, Dallas, Jacksonville, Houston, Austin. This right here, I'm surprised they didn't call this out in the article, but like, this is shocking. Like, last week, this was 11. Last week, median sale price had declined in 11 of the top 50 metros, if I remember right. Now, that number is 9. So the share of metros with year-over-year price decline is not increasing. It's decreasing. Like, it's not a cataclysmic crash nationwide, for sure. At least not yet. Yeah, and then look at this. You've got Jacksonville, Florida is the only Florida metro in the top 5 for median sale price decline. Houston's on here. Texas, you got Dallas, Houston, and Austin. So Texas is decimated. Probably maybe the worst state, maybe worse than Florida. Pending sales, Cincinnati, Chicago, Boston, Montgomery County, PA, and Indianapolis, Indiana all had the largest increase in pending sales. Miami, San Jose, Fort Lauderdale, Las Vegas, San Diego all had the biggest decrease in pending sales. Look at Miami, down 20% in pending sales. Nobody's buying there. New listings. This is what I talked about at the beginning. Houston, Washington, D.C., Montgomery County, Seattle, and Cincinnati also the largest increase in new listings. But look at the areas that had the decrease. San Jose, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, West Palm Beach. That seems to be like, if you were to ask a lot of people who have been hoping, wishing, and wanting for some type of cataclysmic housing debacle. You would, if you said, hey, what are the areas that are going to crash the hardest at the end of 2025 or right now? Most people would probably say California, Texas, and Florida. But new listings are down in these areas. It's crazy. Very surprising. Okay, let's get to some comments, and then I'm going to jump into the specific metros. Let me just resize my screen here for the metros. All right, so I'll get to that here in a minute. Let me just look at some comments. What's up, Steven? Good morning to you too, sir. Ahmed, how you doing? Good morning. I love your videos, even the ones not in my area. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support and you watching, man. I mean, time's valuable. So you guys giving me your time's like, I don't know. It's worth its weight in gold. San Bernardino County. Okay. Yep. San Berdue. Let me make a note. San Berdue. I'll take that one. I'll go through that one here in a minute. Chris, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Hope your projects are going well. What's up, Dave? Dave Triple D. Cool. I don't want to see distress. I want fair prices. Don't want greedy sellers to get away with price hikes. I understand that, but like if it's their asset, right? So like they're trying to sell it to make money. I don't run into many sellers that are like, you know what? I'm going to price my home low because I feel nice. It's like it's just it's their property, right? But I understand how you feel. You want lower prices. And there are ways to get lower prices. There are ways to find an opportunity that are not on the MLS. There are definitely ways. And the MLS, depending on where you live, may not be the best way to find a deal. Yeah, and so we talk about those on the Housing Nerd a lot. We can talk about it later in this video if you want. But I understand what you're saying. And it's good you don't want to see distress for everybody, but a lot of people do, I think. And then that distress comes, now it's like, now what, right? What do you do now? You going to buy a house? No. All right. Well, it's just entertainment, right? Dan in the dirt, a lot of buyers like my wife and I are going to wait and see because things are playing out and that we feel are worth waiting for. Yeah. I mean, you have an option, right? You can definitely wait it out. Patience is great to have in real estate, Dan. And there's going to be some like localized areas where you're going to see a lot more price decline than what I'm reviewing today. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, there are definitely markets where you're seeing price decline and markets where you're seeing a lot more sellers than buyers. I did a video. It's kind of old now, but I filmed it like a week and a half ago. It's the Redfin update on how many more sellers we have than buyers, the 500,000 more sellers than buyers. A lot of other YouTubers have already done the video, but I had kind of a different take on it. And I show you some real world examples. And I show you a house that is way overpriced and it's been on the market for like almost like 2/3 of a year, a brand new build. And they're way over their skis on pricing. I don't know if anybody's made them a disrespectful offer, but that would be an example of maybe you can find a deal, right? So be patient, make offers, find a deal. Don't you think a 67% crash would be carnage? You don't think a 67% crash would be carnage? Well, yeah, that would be. Yes, it would be. But man, that's big. I'm forecasting a 60% drop. Wow. That's like red alert warning, right? 60% drop nationwide, huh? During the GFC, it was like 23%. Columbus was like 11. Pittsburgh was up 5. Pittsburgh, PA was up 5% during the GFC. 60% drop, man. That's a lot. That'd be carnage. That would be carnage. I'll take 5 houses, please. Jason is the only realtor that gets my sympathy. You know, I don't need your sympathy, but I appreciate it. And it's seriously like, I mean, I've done polls on my channel before with like realtor. What's worse, a realtor, a lawyer? I'm trying to think of the other professions I had. A realtor, a lawyer. I can't remember the other ones. Anyway, realtor one is like the worst profession, or the person you trust the least. I also did one. What's the worst part of buying a house? And I had like loan process, looking for a house, moving twice, you know, packing and then unpacking. And the last part was dealing with a realtor. And that won the poll by far. You guys voted for that. So I get it. People do not like realtors. It's strange. It's not strange. It's just, it is what it is, I guess. Enough on that. I want rates at 10%. I get it. I get it. A lot of people do. A third are paid off boomer homes, but 60% of houses are boomer homes. I don't know what that means exactly. There's a lot of paid off homes out there. There's definitely a lot. What's up, Stunfish? How are you? Happy Friday to you too. It is Friday. What are your thoughts on Dayton, Ohio? I have a couple. What are your thoughts on Dayton, Ohio? Is there development occurring there that you're aware of? I'm not aware of development in Dayton necessarily. I have a couple interested sellers, but not sure what buyers are looking for. You trying to sell a house, it sounds like, in Dayton? Let us know. And then I can definitely get to it here in a minute if you want me to. Let me see. Charleston, South Carolina. Yep. I'll look at that one. Let me just star that one. Miami with that 20%. Oh, yeah. Crazy, right? Yep. Okay. I got those starred. All right. Let me get to some of these metros. Thank you for the comments. All right. So we're doing new listings in Columbus. So we're going to do Columbus, Ohio first, then Cleveland, Cincinnati. Then I've got a whole list of metros that were requested, and obviously the ones you guys want to do, and we'll keep going. And these will all be timestamped. By the way, I'm inside today. I'm in my basement, as a lot of YouTubers are, I guess, because it's quiet. Having some work done outside on the house, and can't be outside. So I'm in this black hole right now. I prefer to be outside. I think you guys like it too. New listings in Columbus, Ohio. What do we have? Now, new listings here are up 8.7% year over year in Columbus. So not like nationwide up 6, but in Columbus up 8.7. Definitely some new listings. Definitely. Now let's do pending sales in Columbus. $2.2 up. So there are more sellers. There are more sellers and more buyers in Columbus than last year. It does feel busier. It does. You know, one of the things I would say, though, about something I'm noticing here in Columbus or in the central Ohio area, I'm noticing appraisals coming in lower than the contract price now. And I don't know if if there was something sent out again from Fannie and Freddie, but I'm noticing that more and more deals are getting stalled or squashed because of the appraisal coming in low. And I haven't seen that over the last few years as much, but now I'm starting to see it, and that may be probably a good thing for the market in the future, that things are kind of stabilizing a little bit, and that appraisers are kind of getting a little bit more cautious. So that surprised me. Pending sales. All right, we did that one. Now let's do active listings. Active listings, 19.13% up year over year. Is that a 4-year high? 6,400, 64. Yeah, 4-year high in Columbus for active listings. Huh. Okay, so more people, more homes hitting the market here in the C-Bus area. Now let me do median sale price. And by the way, if you want to look at this data as well, you can just come to the Redfin data center. You go to redfin.com into their data, and you can come to these charts and look at them anytime you want. And they go by county or city. Look at this. Median sale price in Columbus, $356,000, up 3% year over year. When we hit this mark back here in April, I kind of thought, you know what? We may be at the price point, like the ceiling of prices here in Columbus. But that's not the case. $356,000. Prices just keep going up. Overall, the median price, the house in the middle that's sold. Okay. That was Columbus. Now let's do Cleveland. Cleveland, Ohio, new listings up 9.7%. Good. They need more new listings, no doubt. Pending sales up 3.6%. Definitely more activity in Ohio. Active listings. Active listings up 8.5% in Cleveland. All right. So more choices. That's good. I did read some disturbing trends about Ohio, though, when it comes to delinquencies and evictions. So, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. I have an all Ohio channel. There's only one video on there right now. It's a Redfin update on Ohio from like a week and a half ago. I am adding more videos there, but if you want to look at just Ohio data, that's where to find that. So it's called the Ohio Housing Nerd, not just the Housing Nerd. Very inventive, right? That took me a long time to think of that. All right. So active listings in Cleveland are up. That's good. Now let's do median sale price. 2%, $242,000. It's not an all-time high. Well, it is for this time of year. But yeah, it is up. Median sale price is up. All right, let's look at Cincinnati. See what's going on there. New listings in Cincinnati, the nasty natty, 11.4%. Good. Good. Need that. Need inventory. Pending sales up 11% in Cincinnati. So people are definitely buying and listing homes there. Active listings only up 12%. Last year, it was up a ton year over year. Like this time of year, look at this. Last year at this time, we were up 80% in Cincinnati with active inventory. So now up 12%, 5,989 listings. It's not an all-time high, but it's getting close to an all-time high in active listings. It's not all-time high. Last 4-year high. Not all-time high, sorry. Last 4-year. Yeah, I mean, they obviously had a lot more inventory before COVID. Okay, now let's do median sale price. What's up with this? Cincinnati, 3%, $311,000. All right. That's an all-time high too. That is, I mean, that's the all-time high price there in Cincinnati. $311,000 for median sale price. And every year, look at this, every year is higher than the last year. It just keeps going and going and going. Cincinnati is probably still a seller's market overall, I would think. Wow. Okay, let's do, since we had somebody on from Dayton, let's do Dayton, Ohio real quick. Now, Dayton is near Cincinnati. It's kind of its own little area, but it is pretty close to Cincinnati. A lot of investors there. Dayton, Ohio, 4.3% in new listings. So definitely more people listing homes. What about buying homes? How are they doing? 6.1% up in pending sales. So people are buying, and active inventory up 9%. So those are all good things. Like you've got more people selling, more people buying. You'll have price discovery. That's great. Now let's look at median sale price. Wow, look at median sale price though. That's again, wow. So Cincinnati and Columbus and Dayton all have a record high median sale price. Dayton is at $249,000, up 7.6%. So the person that asked about Dayton or is talking about Dayton, I don't know what you're doing in the market if you're buying or selling, but it looks like prices are still high there. It looks like you do have some more. You do have more new listings and more active listings, but people are buying. So while it's an active market, I don't know if there are any discounts or not. I wonder how. Let me look at median days on market. Let me look at that. Up median days on market up 2.8 days. It's a 4-year high. Basically takes 27 days to put a house in contract. So it's not a ton. I mean, what is it nationally? 35? So it's still underneath the national average. But it looks like you have more activity, more homes on the market. Should be able to find a house a little easier than last year, but prices still look high there in Dayton. Okay, next metro is, let me look here. What do I got? I did Dayton. I had, let me see. San Bernardino. We're going to skip around, like probably going to go to all kinds of markets here. San Bernardino. What? Oh, let me see. Let me do county. San Bernardino County. I hope that's okay that I did the county. This was like the epicenter of the crash, or one of them, back in the GFC. Tons of new construction, boatloads of new construction back in the day. Still have new construction, a lot of it. New listings, what do we got? Up 0.5%. That's what I'm saying. Like, if there was massive carnage in San Bernardino, you would see new listings up a ton. I mean, they're not a 4-year high at all. People would be listing their house left and right. And back in the GFC, I lived out in Southern California, and I had friends that like abandoned their homes. Like they were from overseas in different parts of the world and had family back overseas. And they would, like, when the GFC hit, several of them worked for Countrywide. And one day they were employed and had a house. And the next day they were unemployed and just left the house, just left it. Didn't even put it for sale, just abandoned the house and went back overseas. Left the car in the driveway and everything. So it was bad. But right now, just not a lot of new listings. That tells me there can't be a lot of carnage there. Down 4.6% with pending sales. So not a lot of people buying either. Active inventory up 9%. That is a 4-year high for this time of year, but I'm sure that's going to level off now that new listings are, not very impressive. I would think it's going to level off and you're not going to have an explosion of inventory. You can't with new listings the way they are. It's impossible. You got to have a new listing to have an active listing, obviously. Median sale price, what's that doing? Yeah, look at this. It's an all-time high. Well, I keep saying that. It's a 4-year high for this time of year. $541,000. That's up 4% year over year. And this year, it's gone sideways the whole year, basically, right? So doesn't look like a price crash there. It just doesn't. Just need more inventory. Okay. Let's look at, what else do I got? Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, I had that Miami thing up there. Can you look at Charleston? Yes, I can. Median sale price. Let's look at new listings in Charleston, South Carolina. That's a beautiful city. New listings down 1.2%. Not up, down. This exercise that we do in the second half of this Redfin update every week really shows you how different housing markets are across the country. I mean, it really cuts through all the BS that you see in the headlines. It cuts through the titles and the thumbnails that YouTubers like me put out. And by the way, you got to put the right thumbnail and title out to get anybody to click on it. Like if I put on there, every housing market's different, nobody would click on it. You'd never see it. I get like 10 views. So you got to put something on there like carnage in the housing market, run for the exits. So when you see stuff like that, take it for a grain of salt and realize every market's different. Look at Charleston, South Carolina. Just new listings are they're nothing impressive. Pending sales, what are those doing? They're down as well, down 3.7%. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling. They're just kind of sitting on their hands. Yeah, now active listings are starting to drop. They're only up 13% year over year. They are a 4-year high, no doubt. What about median sale price? How's that doing? Yeah, look at median sale price. It's still up year over year, up 2% to $452,000. Wow, Charleston's expensive. Jeez. And it hasn't, it dropped one time underneath last year back in, end of January. But after that, it's gone up. So it's dang near an all-time high in Charleston. But that really shows you the differences in these housing markets. That's what I think is fascinating. All right. What else do I got? I have a whole list here. Let me see if anybody else requested one. Indianapolis. What about Indianapolis? What about it? I had that on my list anyway, so let's look at that one. Indianapolis, Indiana. Look at new listings up 10%. They have a lot of new construction there, I think. Pending sales up 4.2%. All right, so you got some activity. People actually buying and selling. Active inventory, 9.8%. Kind of been flat all year or trending sideways, I suppose you could call it. So it's not skyrocketing at all. Let's look at median sale price. What's that doing? Wow, look at median sale price. Nearly an all-time high, $320,000. The all-time high looked like it was $321,000. You're right there in Indianapolis, Indiana. So doesn't look like prices are down that much at all in Indianapolis. They've gone up steadily all year. You do have some more pending. You do have more people selling and buying than last year, but it's not. You just don't have a lot of inventory still. But I hope that helped. I'm wondering what you're seeing there on the street in Indianapolis. All right. Let's do the next metro. What do we got? Here's a comment. Jason G. Hey, with the RS7. Good morning. I'm thinking we go back to 2020 pricing in a few years. Housing market takes time. First-time buyers priced out and move-up buyers are staying put. We go back to 2020 pricing in a few years. That would be a big drop. You're talking, 50%. It's different when you're up high and you come down. You don't need as much of a change, but you're still talking probably 50% around there in most metros. Yeah, there are it's going to really depend on, I think a lot of that growth or decline, a lot of it depends on where interest rates go. Because again, people buy on payment. So if interest rates go down before there's some type of massive carnage in the economy that causes everybody to list their home for sale, then you're going to see prices probably go back up, I would think, because people are going to run back into the housing market when the interest rates drop. How much do they have to drop? That's a great question. Maybe if they get into the 5s, that could be a problem, but they may not for a long time or ever. Who knows? Oh, you're an investor. Cold calling sellers and got in contact with a few sellers that are interested in selling, but I'm iffy on my comps and what to offer. Oh, that's a big topic. I'm not sure I can cover that right now, but I'm very happy though that you're cold calling sellers and you got in contact with a few sellers. Nobody does that type of work, or very few. Like a fraction of 1% will do that type of work. But the people that do that work will win. Win, win, win. All you do is win. If you're making calls, sending letters, throwing lines in the water, somebody's going to bite. Jane Weaver. I know a Jane Weaver, but she lives in Seattle. I want to move to Cleveland. We've been invaded by California, Texas, Alabama, in Kalispell, Montana. Prices start price ST 200%. Let me look at that. Kalispell, Montana. Boy, I don't know if there's even we even have data on that. Let's find out. Kalispell. Look at that. Kalispell, Montana. Never been there. Been to Montana many times. Never been there. New listings in Kalispell up 6.6%. You do have, that's almost an all-time, or not all-time high, almost a 4-year high in new listings, pending sales. What are those doing? You're up 7.5% in pending sales, active inventory. How's that? Look at that, up 17%. Those are all things that tell me that, hey, you could have maybe some moderating prices if you've got more active listings up, 20, nearly 20%. That's new listing median sale price. What's that doing? Wow. Holy Toledo. Look at that. 708 grand. The mountain states like Montana, Wyoming, Utah. I can't explain. I mean, there are beautiful states. Like, it's awesome out there, awesome big country, but I can't believe the home prices, how expensive they are. What's going on in Kalispell, Montana that drives a home price to $708,000? And that's down. You are down 3%, but look at this. You peaked back earlier in the year at 809. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for affordable living, I guess Montana's not the spot. But you're saying, Jane, that it's because of people moving, migration, right? I mean, because honestly, like 700 grand for a big open space in Montana, if you're stuck in LA or New York City or Texas, if you're like in Houston, which is like a megapolis, right? It's like, I don't know. It's like, looks like a Sim City map sometimes. I mean, Houston's ridiculous how big it is. And you're like, I can move to Montana and only pay 700 grand for a home. That's a deal. I'll do it and get like 10 acres or something, right? Yeah, come to Ohio. Love to have you. Yeah, Cleveland's great, Chris. You're right. We have world-class museums, fine arts, and excellent healthcare. Yeah, and the home prices are not too bad either. Now, the pro football team, on the other hand, if you're a football fan, oof, that's rough. All right, Vegas and Philly. Somebody wants Philly here. I'll get to Philly here in a minute. Let's do Philly. Philly. Philadelphia, PA. Ooh, boy, that wasn't a good map or good chart there for the price. But let's look at new listings first. Up 9.4%. So you definitely have some more new listings, which is what you need. Everybody needs new listings right now. Active listings up just 5%, unfortunately. That's just not a lot. Not a lot. Whoops, did I do? Oh, pending sales. So pending sales are, it's one of these maps again, 2023. You can check that. 2024. All right. Pending sales up 1.2%. So just a little more lift in sales, but let's go back to new listings again. But new listings are up 9.4%. So you would think active inventory, let's go back to that and look. It is up substantially this year. I mean, you've kind of gone right up through the roof, but then maybe buyers stepped in and took some of the inventory. Maybe people removed it from the market. It's kind of gone sideways over the last couple of weeks, only up 5% in active inventory. Median sale price, what's that doing? Wow, 11%. I mean, that's an all-time high, I think, unfortunately. Yeah, look at that. Not even close to, I mean, it blew it out of the water. You've been an all-time high for what? Last week, you were an all-time high, 315. Now you're 315 again. Good grief. Yeah, Philly prices. The Northeast, Midwest, East Coast, a lot of those areas are just very resilient with prices. Probably because, well, not the Northeast, but the Midwest, maybe because prices are so inexpensive. So, compared to the rest of the country. So people are like, oh, 315 for a home, no big deal. That seems inexpensive for Philly, though. I would think it'd be higher. Okay, that's Philly. Let me do the next one. What do we got? Vegas. Yep, got to look at Vegas, right? Las Vegas, Nevada, not New Mexico. New listings in Vegas, 2.7% up year over year. Not even remotely close to a 4-year high right now for this time of year. I mean, back in 2022, you had new listings at this time of year hit at 1,200 listings. Well, that's not right. Yeah, 1,200 listings. Now you're at 869 listings. That's what I'm saying, folks. Like, you've got to have new listing explosion to have any type of serious price decline, because that adds active listings, and you've got to have that outpace. You got to have those new listings completely outpace pending sales. But if there was massive carnage in Vegas, you would see that, and this number continue to rise week after week, week after week. Like during the GFC, you were talking 250,000 homes listed every week. Right now, we're like a low 100s, like 100 and what, 110,000 nationwide. So I don't know what the numbers showed during the GFC for Vegas as far as new listings. I'd love to have that data, but very hard to get that information. But like, if you want to see, if you're like in any metro, it doesn't matter what it is, get with the local realtor, tell them you want to know the new listings by month for whatever market you want to know about. But you have to use a local realtor because they need access to the MLS to pull the real data for you. And if you look at that, you can tell, what did new listings do during the GFC? Look at it. Look at active inventory. Have them pull active inventory, days on market, new listings, and sold properties. You could even just look at the number of solds, the number of active inventory, the number of new listings, the average or median days on market. Look at those data points. Have them pull them for every month from 2000 through 2024. If they can't do that, if your realtor can't do that, won't do that, find a new realtor. Find one. Realtors need business right now. So any realtor who's unwilling to do that work, if they're too busy to do the work, then they probably have a team with them that can do the work. But it doesn't take very long at all to do if you know how to do it. And if you're a realtor, you should know how to do it. So pull that data and look and say, hey, in Vegas, how was it through the early 2000s, through the GFC, after the GFC? Did we have 869 new listings on average for a 4-week time period? Or did we have 4,000? Well, if you have 4,000 new listings for that time period, chances are you're not going to see a price decline like you saw during the GFC. Anyway, it just kind of gives you some perspective, because this is kind of, very narrow focused. But if you zoom back into the, over the last couple decades, that'll really tell the story. You just got to have a lot of inventory. Got no inventory, got no crash. That's the rule of the game. All right, pending sales. How are those doing? Look at this, down 15%. So you are up in new listings, but you're only up 2.7%. Pending sales, down 15%. So nobody's buying there. And look at active listings, up 43%, which seems like a lot. It does. But when I look at the new listings, I go, not a lot of people still listing homes. Because if I go back to, well, you can really see it in this chart. This is like a great chart to look at. These extreme markets are great. Look at the new listings back in 2022, 1,300 in Vegas. in 4 weeks. They had 1,300 new listings hit the street. Then look at pending sales back in 2022. Look at this. So pending sales dropped, substantially dropped, right? I mean, at this point in 2022, you were down 12% from the previous year because they don't show 2021 on here, but it says down 12% or down 13%. So you were down 13% year over year with new listings. And then you at the same time, you had active listings because new listings were rising. You had active listings in 2022. Look at this. Go through the roof. Up 64% from 2021 at 12,600 active listings, 12,700 active listings. Now you're at 11,000 active listings. So you're not even at 2022 levels of active listings. So that's what I would pay attention to. Go back to like a few years, at least 10 years, and kind of look at the trend. Now, what about median sale price? Median sale price up 1% year over year. And look at 2022. Look how it dropped. Once you saw all those new listings hit the street and you saw those active listings climb to the degree that they climbed, now you can see the median sale price tank, and it tanked big time in Vegas. Look at that. 456 all the way down to 401. Which, by the way, was still up, which is insane. That was still up year over year, 1%. That's crazy, right? But it tanked. Why? Because tons of new listings hit the street. Tons of active listings were there. A lot more sellers than buyers. Price decline. So that kind of gives us a perspective, right? It's nice to have that extreme change in 2022 because now you can capture that and go, all right, how bad is how big is the buyer advantage right now in Vegas? Well, maybe it's big or significant locally, but when you look at the chart, you're like, well, it doesn't seem like it's that great of an advantage. But you tell me, if you're in Vegas and you're like, man, there's deals all over the place. Not expensive houses that have price cuts. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about normal houses everybody can afford or most people can afford. Are you seeing those discounted and just sit on the market? In good shape, right? I don't know. FHA ready houses. You tell me. But anyway, that's how I would look at some of these charts. I hope that helped. Jordan Lang, I appreciate you joining us and asking about Vegas. Jane Weaver, up 200%, and you can smell the house from the photos. Unbelievable here. Smell the house from the photos? You mean it smells bad? Is that what you're saying? Because normally, like, houses that smell that means a deal. A smelly house is like an instant discount now. So if you're selling your house, make sure it smells good. People wanted out of California cities. Colorado, Denver metro was too liberal. I'm going to look at Denver, actually. Let me look at Denver. I already had that on my list. Denver, CO. New listings in Denver, Colorado. Only up 2.6%. Now, their active listings are high, I believe. Let's look at their active listings. Yeah, look at the active listings. Up 39% year over year. But I think what it looks like happened, if I go back to new listings, it looks like they skyrocketed up at the beginning of the year, and now they've kind of gone sideways. And they peaked back in 2022. They were at, let's see, this time of year, they were at 1,600 new listings. And now they're at 1,400 hitting the street. New listings. What about active listings? Yeah, last year they were at 9,700. And you can kind of see what happened back in 2022. Different than Vegas, right? Like Vegas, the all-time high of active listings and new listings was 2022. In Denver, it wasn't. You're actually at a 4-year high right now in active listings. 39% up year over year, 13,000 units on the market. Now let's look at median sale price. Yeah, look at median sale price now. Down 1%. less than 1%, 0%, 0.0022%, $595,000, but it's starting to head sideways. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Denver. There's definitely more inventory there. And it's not like, it doesn't seem to be slowing down. Let me look at the rate of change. Well, maybe it is a little. So the rate of change measures year over year, right? So there you were up 45%, then up 49%. Now you're starting to head down 39%. Let me go back to pending sales. Whoops. At one point, you were up 10% in pending sales. Now you're basically flat. Is that right? Down 1.1% in pending sales. So people are still buying homes there, but it's not like there's a huge demand. I don't know. If it'll be interesting to see how much Denver falls in median sale price, or if it does at all. Right now, it's just kind of going sideways. Yeah, look at the rate of change with median sale price. Sideways, basically. Slightly down, right? If you drew like a trend line, it'd be slightly down. A lot of people think that's going to happen. A lot of people think, tell me what you think. Well, a lot of folks that I trust for housing market knowledge, like Michael Zuber on One Rental at a Time, very logical, very practical on the market. You can tell he was like a sales leader at one point, because he's like, this is the way it is. This is the black and white scenario. And he's like, look, we could just grind sideways for a long time, like slightly down, right? It could take 4 years from now to see prices decline to, overall from the peak in markets like this down 5-10% year over year. It could take that amount of time, depending on what interest rates do. The best thing to happen would be if they left interest rates alone, if they didn't interfere. But they really, the administration really wants lower rates. I don't think you can deny that, right? Like, how often does the administration call out the Fed or say, we're going to put a shadow Federal Reserve in place for lower rates? That's when they're desperate for getting rates lower. So they want lower rates. Will they get them? I don't know, but they're going to try. So if they don't pull any trickery, if they don't pull any monkey business, any hijinks, then rates, if they stay in the high 6s, maybe the low 7s, maybe even if they float down to 6.5, hopefully prices will, stabilize, come down over time. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with rates. Anyway, that's Denver. That is Denver. What else we got? Colorado's exploding. Here we go. A lot of houses are starting to sell at 2020 prices and still overpriced based on price per square foot. But that is the issue in Colorado. There's no common price per square foot. New flips will sell at $285, old ask $312. A lot of houses are starting to sell at 2020 prices and still overpriced based on price per square foot. That is the issue in Colorado. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're seeing that, Daniel, then keep tuning in, because, we may find that prices are a lot lower here in the next few months, if that's what you're starting to see. What's up, Andrew? Did Cincinnati earlier, so you can go back and check it out. It'll be time-stamped probably an hour or so after I'm done with the live. When we moved to Ohio, our real estate agent would not entertain any offers to buy any houses if we didn't buy at advertised price and or more 2019. Oh, man. I'm really sorry. That's not cool. That's not cool. Now, I would say, at the end of the day, if a client's like, look, Jason, I don't care what you're saying. I want to make an offer at this price for that house. Fine. As long as they're not telling me to do anything unethical or illegal, whatever. But I tell people, if the house is, and I try to get them to understand, if the house is just listed, it's been listed for 2 days, and it's a great looking house, and we go to the showing and there's like another agent already there. We go to the open house and there's like 10 people there at the open house, milling around, then probably, and if it's priced well, the chances of getting a low ball offer accepted are very low, right? They just are. But at the end of the day, if you're finding houses that have been on the market a little while and your agent's not going to lowball them, that's nuts. That's nuts. The agent works for you. You're the boss. You're the boss. They're there to provide data, provide guidance and options, and then negotiate on your behalf and execute and help you through the process of closing on the house. Like a shepherd. That's how I think of it. You're like a shepherd. You're not a at least that's how I approach it. So I'm sorry you ran into that. Hopefully that won't happen next time. Another issue, she did not inform us that we would have received rent payment for the extra 30 days that the owners stayed. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely do that. So what Don is saying is that, I think, is that when you bought a home, I assume, and the owners were like, or the seller needed to stay an extra month to move, to find a new home, whatever. If you closed on a house like the first of the month and they're going to move on the 30th of the month, so they're going to be there 30 days, but you've already closed. Now you're going to make a mortgage payment on that property. Many times it can make sense to actually charge them rent, right? That makes sense because they're going to have to pay something somewhere and you're not living there. So why shouldn't you charge rent? I think that's what you're saying, Donna, right? The owner bragged about living in the house rent-free at the day we closed. Oh, man. Don't shepherds lead lambs to the slaughter. That's hilarious. Touche, Kyle. I get it, but you understand my point, right? I'm supposed to guide you through the market with your decisions, not with my decisions. That's the point. That's funny, though. That made my day. I just threw in an offer $100K less than the list at 401 on a 499 and seller countered at 460 instantly. Bam. Still working on it, but deals are starting to happen. People need to sell. Just have to put in offers. Good. Good for you, Daniel. And what market is that again? I'm just curious. I don't remember. Colorado, right? Denver, is that where you are? Awesome. That's the key right there. You see that 460? It's 499. The guy already came off, or somebody, whoever the sellers, came off $39,000 instantly. I mean, instant discount, 39 grand. Like, and I don't know their situation, the sellers, but like, man, why not counter it? Like, if I'm the seller, I counter it 495 if I don't need to sell. I have some clients, some seller clients, when they counter, if somebody lowballs them, they'll counter at list again if they don't need to sell. So if in their case, they would counter at 499. They'd be like, here's my counter, it's 499. Which means you don't need to sell. But if somebody counters at that discount immediately, wow. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, it's in Denver, and seller is Open Door. What a story. Thank you, Daniel. If I could do a reverse super chat, I would. That's really good information. So the seller is Open Door, huh? Great job. The house needs yard, fence, appliances. So what? Oh, it needs a yard. Like it has no yard at all? Can't do much about that. Or it needs like grass. Is that what you're talking about? They're asking more than recent flips. Yeah. Yeah, those days of like Open Door, I don't see a lot of them in Columbus. There's not a lot of Open Door properties in Columbus or in the area, but those days of Open Door buying a house and just putting like some paint on it and then marking it up 50 grand, those days are over. All based on price per square foot. Good. Good for you, man. Good job doing the analysis and knowing where to make an offer, like what price point. That's great. Let me go back here. Was just speaking, Zach, what's happening? Was just speaking to how many people have moved to Montana, Idaho, and mountain states. Yeah, going back to that, a lot of people, it feels like. Grimm's Bar. Boomers own 38% of houses. I'd say the next 10 to 15 years are going to be wild. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many Gen Xers I've talked out of selling their parents' house. Like people pass away, right? That's what life. It's not fun, but it's life. And when they pass away, boomers pass away a lot of times now. Many times they're passing on the house to the kids. And the kids could live in like different parts of the world, different parts of the country. There's like 4 brothers, 4 sisters, and they all are like, just sell the house. And I try my best to get them to look at all the options versus selling a house. I'm like, there are tons of people that want your house now, your parents' house. Well, you could sell it or you could keep it. So I do my best to, I probably talk more people out of selling than I do actually talk them into selling or buying. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I'm like, listen, you got to look at all the options. Boston, here we go. Boston time. We'll do Boston. That was on my list anyway. Boston, new listings in Boston. 10.9% up year over year. Good. You need it. You need new listings. You absolutely have to have new listings. Active listings. Look at that. It's a 4-year high in Boston for active inventory. Up 20%. Okay. 8,600 units. So you're definitely adding more active units in Boston, but I wonder if it's, what are the pending sales doing? Pending sales in Boston, Massachusetts. 1,108. 5.7% up year over year. People are buying and they are selling. I think you're going to see that, like you saw Daniel in the comments a couple minutes ago saying in Colorado, it sounds like he's out there buying right now or trying to buy, making offers. It seems like he probably wasn't doing that when prices were going parabolic and insanity. But now that there's more active inventory, he's actually making offers. I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see pending sales pick up as active inventory hits the market. That'll probably soften prices because there'll be price discovery. People will start buying lower priced homes. Finally, they'll be for sale in some degree or another. And those will change that median sale price. So it's nice to see that, people are buying, people are selling in Boston. That's good. Look back in pending sales back in 2022. That was at 1,400 units. Now you're at 1,100 units. It's not a 4-year high, but it's good to see that. Let's look at median sale price. Man, yeah, at some point, this has to change, right? $771,000. That's an all-time high. All-time high for Boston. Well, it's tied. Okay, excuse me. It's tied with an all-time high. 771. This is 7. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. It is an all-time high. Yeah, because you were at 767, now 771. Wow. So prices haven't come down there, median sale price, but maybe you can find some opportunity. The fact that you have more active listings. Are you seeing more active listings in the market? Robert, I'd like to know. I'd like to know. But good. I'm glad we're seeing more active inventory in Boston. What else we got? Let's go back to this Denver comment. I'm just curious. Oh, no, we already did. Thinking of buying dad out of his half of my parents' house going through divorce so my mom can stay in the house. Don't have the cash on hand and mortgage still in the house. Any ideas how it can work? There's a mortgage still on the house. Let me read this again. Yeah. So it depends on what the mortgage, how much the mortgage is, like how much of the, what percentage, what's the loan to value. There are lenders There's a company called, I'm trying to think of the name. Off the top of my head, there's a company called Convoy Home Loans. Convoy. I have no affiliation with them, but I know they exist. I've actually received quotes from them. There's a guy there, Jonathan. I think his name is Jonathan. But if you go to Convoy Home Loans or try to research them, they offer a product that's like a they'll do like a 40 30 split, for instance, where if you have equity in the house and you have cash that you can actually use, then, and your father is open to this, then you could structure something potentially. I don't know all the details, but you could structure something where you get like a normal loan to pay your dad or pay the original mortgage on the house, right? And then you get a loan from your dad or your parents to actually supplement the 30%. So 40% would be, in this example, 40% would be the original mortgage amount. 30% would be the seller financing portion, and then you bring the last 30% to closing. But you could also do it where you're only bringing 10% to closing, as far as your skin in the game. Those things do exist, those types of programs. But you probably have to talk to, I mean, a standard lender probably isn't going to do something like that. But I know a company like Convoy does it. There's probably a lot of other ones out there, but that would be a way to do it. The other way that you could potentially do it is like a lease to own, because if, it's not sub 2, it's not illegal. I'm not a lawyer, by the way, disclaimer, not a lawyer. Definitely have to get lawyer advice, legal advice, get mortgage professional advice on all this. I'm just kind of spitballing with you, but you could probably do like a lease to own where it's like, hey, I'm going to lease this property until the mortgage is paid off, right? And there's no note on it. And then they would sell it to you at a determined price. And so there are ways to structure like a lease as well. In that case, though, you don't really own the house, right? Your father would still own that portion. But get with a lawyer and get with a mortgage professional. Convoy Home Loans would be a place to go. The other thing you may want to do, just an idea, is you could go to one rental at a time. I go to that. I mean, I'm on that channel all the time, listening to what they have to say and interacting. That's Mike Zuber's channel. They have great, if you go back in their video library, tons of videos on creative financing, tons. And it's not sub 2. I'm not talking about the sub 2 stuff everybody jumps up and down about. The fact is, there are a ton of options out there for financing a property that most people don't know about. And a lot of people don't want to believe because they, for some reason, think it's a scam. Now, there are scams out there. You got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing. But there are a lot of ways to do it rather than just going to a traditional lender and getting an FHA mortgage or something, right? So I would just explore everything. But those are my ideas off the top of my head. Yeah, but that's a good question. Hey, I got a super chat. You're welcome, Robert. You are welcome. Thank you for the super chat. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the Housing Nerd. That's my pizza money. My super chats go to pizza on Friday evenings. So I'll have pizza on you tonight. Thanks, Robert. All right. Shoot. Asked to assume the loan. Daniel's exactly right. If it's an FHA loan, FHA, USDA, VA loan, if it is, you could potentially assume the loan, assume the debt. That's right. You got to bring, though, usually got to bring that equity part to closing, right? So if the house is worth 200 and the guy owes 100,000 and there's that $100,000 gap, then you've got to bring that 100 grand to closing. But assuming the loan's a great idea. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. Thanks, Daniel. Innovative, sustainable solutions. What does the data indicate that prices in Dallas are going to do over the next year? We're positioning ourselves to buy. Oh, okay. Let me find out. Let me find out. Let's go to Dallas. Dallas, Texas. New listings in Dallas. Oh, by the way, if you're on this live stream, I didn't say this at the beginning. I should have. Hit the like button for me. Don't be a freeloader. 10.9% up year over year. So definitely more new listings, no doubt. No doubt. Active inventory, what we got? Up 30%. 4-year high. A 4-year high of active inventory. Let's do pending sales. 1,632 pending sales, up 3.8%. So you had 1,632 pending sales. New listings, you had 2,093. That means you've got a gap there of 400 units that are staying on the market, conceivably, as long as all those close, all the pending sales close. It's kind of leveling off now with active inventory, but you're still up 31%. So you have a lot of inventory out there compared to the last 4 years, which is a good thing for prices. And look at prices now. Look at that. That's down a lot. Down 4% year over year. That's a big drop. That's a big drop. And it's trending. Look at the rate of change for median sale price. Down, 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 down. Like you were up 1.46% at one point in Dallas. Then you were up 0.5%, then up 0.39%, but now down 4%, nearly 5%. So this tells me if you, now new listings are dropping right now. They're starting to head down. They may pick back up. But what I would do is I would look at those new listings, watch them very closely, watch active listings, but be very specific about where you want to buy. So don't just look at this data. You need to look at this type of data, but for the area you want to buy in. So not Dallas, but like the neighborhood or the school system or the subdivision, if there's enough transactions there. And go back years, go back 5 years, 10 years, and have a local realtor pull that data for you and go, all right, how many new listings do we usually have every month in this neighborhood? How many active listings do we have? How many solds? And look at you can have them pull the median sale price too, and look at that trend. If you're seeing new listings going up and you're seeing active listings going up and you're seeing pending sales, I keep hitting the mic, and you see pending sales go sideways, down, even if they're going up but not going up as much as with the number of units as new listings, that would tell me that prices would potentially continue to soften. They would. That would tell me that. If, on the other hand, you're seeing active inventory flatten out, let me go back to the screen here for active. Like active inventory now is, like if I zoom in, you can see it's kind of leveling off right now, which isn't a huge deal. Doesn't mean anything really. But if it continues to drop right now and active listings for the area you want to buy in, so pretend you're just looking at your subdivision, you're gonna be like, wow, active listings are going down, means less inventory, probably higher prices or stickier prices. But again, you got to get with a realtor, unfortunately, and they hold the key to that data. And then you can have them pull it and just say, I want active, new, pending, median, price, number of days on market, median days on market would be nice to have, and the number of sold listings. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask them. I mean, what are pending sales doing again? Let's look. Let me just remind myself. Yeah, I mean, pending sales are only up 3.8% year over year. I got to think there's a lot of realtors out there that are slow, maybe have another job, and so maybe they need something to do. That's possible. Yeah, so that's what I would do. But yeah, it looks like prices would probably continue to soften there. That looks like to be the trend. Let's look at something else. Days to close. No, we don't look at that. We're going to look at median days on market. Look at median days on market in Dallas. Yeah, 43 days, up dang near 12 days. Dang near 12 days. So being up 12 days year over year tells me that you're houses are sitting a lot longer. They are. I mean, that's obviously a big increase. I mean, look at this. Back in 2022, they were at 14 days. Wow. And now 43. Big increase over the last few years, right? Big change. Let's look at something else here. Average sale to list price ratio. Yeah, look at this. I would definitely say prices will continue to soften. Hard to time the bottom of a market, probably impossible. But this just means that you've got basically 98%. So average sale to list price ratio, 98%. The national average is 99. So your buyers are getting about a 2% discount from the final list price, not the original list. So the home's listed for 100 grand. You make an offer at 90 grand. That's 90% of the sale price. But if the seller dropped it to 90 grand and you make the offer at 90 grand and he accepts it, that's 100% of the final list price. So there's definitely discounts going on, no doubt. So maybe if you can get this type of data and understand exactly where you're going to buy in Dallas, then if it's showing trends like this and you're not in a hurry to buy a house, then I would make disrespectful offers, right? The house is listed at what, a house, what's the median price there again? 400. Yeah. 416. House listed at 416. And you're like, oh, there's 5 other ones on the block that are basically identical. And they're all priced around the same area and none of them are moving. Maybe I go to the sellers and say, hey, I'll give you, I don't know, 325. Like if you're trying to make a disrespectful offer and you're not getting that seller to cringe, like, oh man, that's low. The offer's not low enough. It's just not. Now, if you need to move or you find the house that you really like and it's dialed in and houses are moving fast in that area, you may not be able to do a trick like that. You may have to pay near asking or at asking. So I would get with a realtor and get that data. Hopefully that helped. But thank you. 46. Yeah, thank you for suggesting that. What's this? Rockingham County, New Hampshire, please. Or Derry, New Hampshire, and Londonderry, New Hampshire. Separate jurisdiction. Keep up the great work. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the compliment. All right, let's see. What is it? Rockingham County. Wow, never looked at that before. Is that from the Stephen King book, Derry, New Hampshire? It's not, because they're in Maine all the time, aren't they? Rockingham County, New Hampshire. What's up with this? This is a completely different market than Dallas. New listings down 0.8%. Pending sales, what are they doing? 6% up. Wow. That's kind of weird. More pending sales than new listings. Like, I mean, they're up with pending sales, down with new listings. 119 pending sales. New listings are at 127. So even though pending sales are up, there's still a slight advantage to new listings as far as how many are being added. Just a little bit by a few houses. Active listings, what's up with that? Up 9%. I can't read these charts today. It's a 4-year high for this time of year. But in 2022, and you're higher than 2022 right now, you can see that 2022 line, like a lot of other metros, really picked up with active listings. You had 1,025 at the peak. Right now, you're at 873. So it looks like you are adding inventory. There's no doubt. You are adding inventory. Median sale price, what do you got? Is $613,000. Wow, that's expensive out there. It is down year over year, but basically it's gone sideways all year long. So it looks like there are more buyers, more sellers in the market there, but it's not exponential yet. You probably just need a lot more active inventory to do something special. with prices. Like, let's go back to active inventory, see what we had. Yeah, active inventory at 1,000 units back in August of 22. So what's median sale price look like back in August? Yeah, you can see it drop, right? Like right around that same period of time. Look how it was going up that year in 2022. Then you had all that inventory and it went down all the way down to 521. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about, right? Like that was, I mean, in a weird way, maybe that was the crash way back then. 517, because now you're at 613, $100,000 difference. Man, prices in the Northeast are crazy. I don't know. You're gonna, I don't know if there's a lot of new listings there. I'm sorry, new builds there, like new construction. If there are a lot of new builds, then that will help. Or you just need people to put their houses on the market. Well, I would love to have data, inventory data by metro going back to the GFC. Very tough to find. But there are places, it could be like an area like New Hampshire where the GFC didn't really change that much, or it didn't go down as much as other areas. New construction will dictate a lot of these price changes, folks. That's why Texas is like it is, Florida. That's why you're seeing that in Denver, I think, a lot of new construction. But in the Northeast, not a lot of area to build. And one of the people that called that out, like early on, really early on, is Real Estate Mindset. Travis at Real Estate Mindset got that dead on. He was jumping up and down about new construction for a long time and said that's going to lead the housing downturn when there is one. And he's right. He nailed that. So I don't know if you have new construction or not, but that would make a big difference if you did. But Northeast doesn't have a lot of area to build. Wife and I have been waiting to buy in Reno. Should we keep waiting? I can't answer that for you, but I can take a look at the market and walk through it with you. But I can't tell you if you should wait or not. I'm never going to tell you not to buy a home. I'm never going to tell you to buy a home. $9.4% up in new listings. Like a lot of other areas, look back in 2022, you had 247. What do you got now? 201. So you had a lot more new listings back in the day. Back in 2022, I guess. Back in the day. Let me do pending sales. What's up with pending sales in Reno? That's the biggest little city on earth, right? Isn't that what Reno is? 157 pending sales, up 8.2%. So people are buying there and they are listing there. 201 added with new listings, 157 purchased. That rate of change or that difference isn't very many, like 40 homes, right? Not going to make a huge difference. 50 homes, whatever. And active listings, they're up 30%, 2,000 units. You peaked in 2022 of the last 4 years anyway at 2,296. So your inventory is down from 2022. And the inventory is going up. The rate of change is going sideways. So let's look at median sale price. See what happened. Well, your median sale price is down 1%. Well, not quite 1%. No, yeah, 1%. Down 1%. 560 grand. Wow, homes are expensive there in Reno. That's more expensive than Vegas. Jeez. I like Reno. So let's look at this. If you're at 560 and you were going that, I mean, the rate of change is definitely going down if you looked at that trend. So you're trending lower year over year. This is really what you need. McConaughey, 840. By the way, thanks for checking in with us. So like look back in 2022, you can see this price decline big time. It got all the way to 501. Right? But what spurred that was active listings. Because look at active listings shoot up like it did. And then you can see that price decline, and it shot up fast. So I guess my point is, if you can wait to buy a home, you just want to do some research, right? So like if you have to buy tomorrow, that's completely different. But if you don't, and you're like, oh, I'm patient, well, but if you want to buy when you find the right opportunity, I would do a few things. I would first go look at homes. Don't stop looking at homes. I would go look at them, walk through as many as you can. There's nothing wrong with looking at 50 homes, 75 homes, whatever it takes. Keep looking at homes again and again and again and again. So you get really good at it, and do them open house or find a realtor to work with, whatever. But look at homes and analyze exactly where you want to live, the exact market or the markets, right? Like different subdivisions, different school districts, different areas of Reno. And then if you find something you like, make an offer that makes sense to you if you're ready to buy. In other words, if you're like, hey, I think prices are going to come down 30%, well, make an offer 30% lower than where it is now. See what happens. You'll know when you get something back where the seller comes down by 50 grand, right? If you make an offer at 400 and the person comes back, if the house is listed at 400 and you make an offer at 350 and they come back at 375, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're ready to dance. So I think it comes down to your timeline. How fast do you want to buy a home? If you can be patient, do your research. But whatever you do, go look at as many houses as you can. Look at the exact area you want to buy in. Look at active, new, sold, days on market. And then make an offer that makes sense for you. But you can see the active listings when they increase like this, what happened to prices. So if you're seeing active listings in the area you want to buy and go up dramatically very fast, that could mean that prices will head down. It could. But hard to time the bottom of the market. So if once you know exactly what you want, the price point that you want to pay, not what you can afford, not like the max, but the price point that makes sense for you, go and make offers at that price point. And if nobody accepts your offer or you can't find anything, well, maybe it's not the right time, right? Or you're not looking at the right type of asset. Like maybe the house is too big you're looking for. Maybe you need something less expensive. But yeah, I think a lot of people are worried that if they make an offer now or they buy, the prices are going to go down more, right? But you can't predict that. You just got to you got to do a deal that makes sense for you and your family and be okay with the market going up and down. But if you buy right, it won't really matter if it goes down. You'll be like, well, I'm just in my house and, I'll be here for the next 15, 20 years and, I'm fine. So anyway, I hope that helped. Let's see. Someone mentioned we were like lambs to the slaughter. We have bought and sold homes in various states in Ohio. We went with a reputable company, Caldwell Banker. Yeah, I mean, they're a good brokerage, but it's really all comes down to the agent you work with, right? Question about future housing supply. If boomers own 38% of the houses, given the life expectancy and expiration dates, would it generally be safe to assume downward pressure in the future? Downward pressure. Housing supply. Well, no. Well, it'd be downward pressure on prices. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you're saying, right? It would be upward pressure on inventory. Because you're saying, there'll be a bunch of houses that hit the market. The thing that I think a lot of people forget on this is that a lot of that inventory is old. A lot of it's old. So I think the majority of homes in the U.S. were built before 1970. And sad to say, a lot of people buying their first house now do not want a home that's 800 square feet, 900 square feet, a postage stamp. But that's what a lot of boomers own. I mean, they own small houses. Some of them own big houses, but a lot of them own small houses. So I think this silver tsunami thing. I could be wrong, but I think people forget that a lot of the inventory is old and it may not be around when they retire or pass away. And so that's why they say we need more new inventory, new houses, because somebody has to fix that inventory up. You have to fix the house up a lot of times. Like it's outdated kitchen, outdated bathroom. A lot of millennials buying homes. I work with a lot of millennials, Gen Z, boomers too, even silent generation. And they, and Gen X, can't forget my generation. And a lot of younger people do not want a home that is 3-bed, 1-bath, 900 square feet. When all their friends they see on Facebook or Instagram are buying 25, which is small, more like 3,500 square foot homes with a pool and 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths and a man cave and 4-car garage and a big yard. They're like, I don't want that, or I don't want the small house. I want the big house. So I think people forget that in this conversation, that there's a lot of homes that maybe not make it to market because they're too old. But there's no doubt the changing population will affect real estate. What's up, Edwin? Unless inflation makes prices continue to go up, then no. But inflation adjusted every year that prices don't move, they go down. But inflation adjusted every year that prices don't move, they go down. Right. You're right about that, Edwin. Yep. Did you get your deal, by the way? Did you get that done? I'm curious to know if you were successful or not. It's okay if you weren't. I'm just curious. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Sure. Kyle, thanks. Let me look at that county again. Clarksville. Oh, Clarksville, Tennessee. Clark. Okay. New listings in Clarksville, Tennessee. 11% up year over year. So definitely some more new listings. Good. Pending sales. What do we got? Down 2.6%. People are definitely selling, but less people buying. And that's what you want if you want more inventory. Active listings up 14%. So you definitely have more homes for sale, obviously, because you got more new listings and less people buying. Good. Median sale price. What's that doing? Oh, boy, you're still up. $319,000, up 1% year over year. Let's look at median days on market. What's that doing? Median days on market, 63.5, up 2.25 days year over year. It's going down. I don't know. This market's odd. I guess when you look at active listings starting to level off, maybe people are pulling their homes from the market. What did pending sales do before this? I mean, pending sales were going up steadily at the beginning of the year. Now they're just going sideways. So it could be people pulling their homes off the market because active listings are starting to go down now. But they are up a lot compared to last year. So maybe prices will eventually start to reflect that. You're only up 1%, but it's dang near an all-time high in prices. Let's go back to new listings and see what happened. Yeah, see, kind of different here. Look at new listings in 2022. It happened really early in the year. You saw a huge increase in new listings. Then they just fell off the map. Like the inventory must have tanked at the end of last year, or the end of. Oh, they just sat on the market. Yeah, look at that. You could see when you had new listings spiking, active inventory went up, but then it looks like people just stopped buying because active inventory just sat there. It just sat there. So if we go here, like maybe you just have active inventory sitting on the market because it's too expensive. There's a lot of expensive homes in Tennessee. Maybe you just have people that just want to sell. They don't need to sell. So they're like, well, I'll just leave my home on the market or take it off. And when it does sell, it's going to sell for a high price if anybody does want to buy it. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of deals there. What about, let me look at this. Average sale to list price ratio. Wow. So you're at 98.7. So definitely a 4-year low for this time of year with the ratio of what people are paying compared to the final list price. Look back in 2022. It was at 100 and over 100%, 101.7, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a huge difference between that and where you are now. So there are discounts going on, but people are still buying expensive homes there. So maybe you can find a deal if you're patient and you're like, I don't need to buy a home right now. Or if you're like, when I find the right deal, I'll buy. Then yeah, make some low offers and see where it takes you. But overall, it doesn't look like people are getting massive discounts there. And I say that because the median sale price continues to climb. But that local information you can get from a realtor would help a lot, because then you'd understand, hey, what's happening in the specific area I want to buy in instead of a general look at Clarksville, Tennessee. Inflation is mathematically embedded into everything in our economy. It took me a master's in finance for someone to explain it to me. Right. You're right. It is. Inflation is. 1 million gets you 1,000 square foot shack in San Jose with high crime. Right. Yeah, I'd imagine it does. Yeah, prices in San Jose are stupid. Stupid high. Oh, look at this. Eugene, Oregon. Super Shanna. Sure, I'll do Eugene, Oregon. I've never done that one. Eugene, Oregon. The Ducks. The Ducks. All right. New listings in Eugene, Oregon. College town. Let's see what's going on there. 5.6% up year over year. In new listings. But again, like all other metros, 2022 was the bell ringer, right? You had a lot more new listings, 141. I don't know if that's a lot more. Active listings. What do we got? 987, up 18% in actives. All right. So more new, more active pending. What do you got? 100, up 3.4%. So people buying, people are selling, there's listings. Median sale price. Wow. 478. Up 4% year over year. Yeah, you probably just need more active inventory. Let's go back to active listings. 18.41% back in 2024. Looks like the height, that was the growth year over year, 1,084 active listings. So you just probably need more active inventory in that area. Again, a lot of these markets are odd that you would think there would be a lot more carnage, right? With new listings. Like, it's just not exploding in Eugene. Must not be a lot of people that need to sell. They just want to sell. There are some need to sell people, but overall, not. And overall in the US, we're not seeing that. Little pockets, you may find it, certainly. And some metros too. But like in Eugene, just doesn't seem like you've got a ton of new listings. I'd say inventory there is still pretty tight. Prices seem high. But you tell me, is that what you're seeing? I don't know if there's a lot of new construction there or not. I'm not sure. It'd be nice if they had that metric on here. New construction homes, how many? I think they used to, but not anymore. But thank you for suggesting Eugene, Oregon. Oh, here's a response. Yeah, it seems like the part of town where we want to live, prices are still climbing. Prices are starting to fall in the less desirable neighborhoods. Yeah, that's a great point, McConaughey. Thanks for saying that. So yeah, I'm seeing that too in Columbus. Like, and that's kind of the odd thing when you look at the fact that there's 500,000 more sellers than buyers right now in the U.S. Where is that inventory? Is that inventory like in places everybody wants to live? Are they on houses that people can afford? Are they on houses that are in good shape? A lot of times not. They're kind of how inventory that really is useless inventory in a way, because it's like, well, that house has been on the market 300 days because it's egregiously overpriced. It's in a neighborhood that the person who wants to buy a home doesn't want to live in, or an area of town they don't want to. Could be in a flood zone sometimes, right? And so those homes sit. Whenever I see a home that's like affordable, that's been on the market for like, 30 days, if it's priced decently at all and in decent shape, it's a flood home, or it's in a flood zone, right? But yeah, thanks for that. You're right. QQQ, what's your thoughts on condo market? Atlanta, Cobb County, just listed yesterday. I know condos are taking it on the chin right now. So let me look at this real quick. All right, I can't help myself. So we usually look at the weekly data, but for oh shoot, hang on. But for Black Butterfly 5434, I'm going to look at the monthly data because we can break it out by asset type. So this is not weekly. So this only goes through April right now, right? Yeah, they're only giving us April data. But you can break it down by the type of house. So watch this. I'll go to condo. And then I'm going to go to region type is metro. And I'm going to go to Atlanta, Georgia. Then I'm going to go here. Okay, so this is condos only in Atlanta, and this is the monthly chart. It's underneath the weekly chart, right? This is the chart we usually use. If you scroll down, you can get to the monthly chart. Maybe I should use the monthly chart from now on, but it only gives us monthly information, so that's why I use the weekly. All right, so condos in Atlanta, they're at $305,000 for the median sale price. But let's look at new listings. New listings, 681. Let me look at the year-over-year change. So new listings of condos in the Atlanta metro area are down 8.8% year over year. So that tells me, Butterfly, that fewer people are listing their condos for sale than they were last year. That's really what that means. So you have fewer new listings hitting the market. If you just put yours on the market, that's usually a good thing. But again, everything's very, very localized. So you'd have to look in your actual like condo complex and see how many condos are available. Are there a lot of condos for sale in your complex? That would help us understand that. So look at active listings though of condos for sale. This is where I'm not saying it's a problem for you, but if you look at, what's good and what's bad in the data, this being up 23% tells me that there are 23% more listings of condos for sale, but fewer new listings. So what does that mean? It means months of supply should be higher. Okay, that's a year-over-year change. Hold on a second. Value. So right now, months of supply is at 5.9%. And you can see is that, that's basically a buyer's market. Very close to a buyer's market. In many situations, you would call that a buyer's market. Back in 2022, in April of 2022, you had 1.3 months of supply. What that means is that if you didn't add any more listings in April of 2022, you would sell through all the homes, or all the condos in this case, in 1.3 months, but not very long. Now that number's 5.9. There's a lot more inventory on the market. And the fact that there's not more new listings than last year, but there's a lot more active listings on the market tells me that those aren't moving. There could be a lot of dead inventory there that's sitting there in the condos, not selling. That's what I get from the data so far. But let me look at sale to list price ratio. Yeah, look at the sale to list price ratio on condos in Atlanta, 97.5. So buyers are getting basically like a 2.5% discount on the condos of the final list price in Atlanta. Let's look at days on market. 54 days on market. Let's look at change, year-over-year change. Up 17 days. Back in 2022, it was down 23 days to 11. So condos in Atlanta were selling on average 11 days, median. The median was 11 days, so the sale in the middle. Now it's 54. That tells you what's going on. There's a big, it must have been a lot of condos listed at one point. Let me look at new listings again. Yeah. Look at this. Look at the new listings. I don't like how they have this in bar chart form. One of the reasons why I don't like their monthly data, but whatever. So in April, or I'm sorry, June, let me look at this. Like back in 2022, 23, you had a lot of new listings hitting the market for condos. Let me look at the rate of change, year of change. Yeah, like this, look at that. 66% more new listings of condos in Atlanta hitting the market in, what is that? April of 21. So it looks like you had an explosion of inventory. And last year, you had a lot up 12.7. Now you're up 12.7 again. So, and you go back before like 2013, as far as we can go back on here. And there were, oops, well, that's not going to work. There was a lot, there were fewer new listings for condos. And then it exploded and really exploded in 2021. Let me look at active listings again. Yeah, I mean, 2019, there was a lot more inventory. Then it dropped big time in 2021 as far as the inventory. And then it just kept going up. Now, let me look at the pending sales. I forgot to look at that. Pending sales, what are those doing? Yeah, your pending sales have not been great overall. Not at all. I mean, you peaked. Look at that, 126% in pending sales. What's that? 1,000 units of condos sold in 1 month in March of 21. Now you're at 477, and that you can see it's decline, right? I'm hoping you can see that it's the number of pending sales for condos is going down. So when I look at these charts for the condos in the monthly data, it looks like there's a glut of inventory with condos. And that's the thing. Like, I'm so glad you brought this up. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. This really, hopefully people can take a look at this and understand what's happening, in their market nationally. But if you look at the narrative of all these sellers out there versus buyers, and you look at the condo market and you realize that there are areas like Atlanta, certainly the Sun Belt where they are, and then down in Florida where there's a ton of condos on the market. If you take those out, the picture doesn't look the same. So if you're looking to buy a condo, there's probably tons of deals out there. Tons in the US overall. Even in Columbus, there's a lot. But if you're looking for a single family house and you're like, oh, look at all this inventory out there. You take out condos, doesn't look the same. It just doesn't. You're going to find, I would imagine overall, single family houses are not as plentiful as condos. Great. Thank you for suggesting that, Black Butterfly. So now that I've ranted and raved and babbled, Tell us. You don't have to, but I'm curious. Like, are there a lot of condos for sale where you in the complex you're in? Did you list your condo at a price where you want to sell it fast, or are you just like, oh, I'm just going to test the water and see if it sells? Like to know. And do you have any offers yet or any showings? Let me look through and see if you've answered. Yeah. I don't see a response from you yet. But yeah, I'd like to know more details about that. That's great, great data to understand. I love this stuff because I get information from you all that I would never normally have. I can just look at a chart. What else we get? People don't take care of their properties like they used to. You have to remember, after World War II was a period of growth in which young couples could buy a home. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of deferred maintenance on older properties. You got to be careful of. You just have to. Um, and that's why buying a home is not all it's cracked up to be. Not at all. Nothing wrong with buying with renting and forever and investing in real estate. A lot of people do that. Saw one for sale next to a cell tower. Agent said great cell reception. What a scum. How about great cancer? Oh, yeah. If you buy a house or you have a house near a cell tower or near like a power line, that can be hard to sell in a normal market. I just got a pre-foreclosure outside of Eugene, Oregon, and I want to hear about the market. It's been so high. I got this place 150,000 less than Zestimate. Well done, Super Shanna. Super job. Yeah, I covered Eugene a few minutes ago, but that is awesome. Well done. Great. How'd you do it? How'd you find the pre-foreclosure? Was it an auction? I'd like to know. Were you find it on the MLS? What's up, Roman? Good morning. With deferred maintenance, the buyer spends what they saved on repairs. Sometimes not. It depends on what type of maintenance it is, right? Like if it's like some people are petrified of anything wrong in a house. Like they're like, oh, look at that foundation. We can't buy that. But sometimes foundation quotes and fixes aren't as bad as you would think they are. Sometimes they are, sometimes not. Agreed defer maintenance. Mesa, Arizona. I'm in escrow for a $400,000 house. Okay, I can spend a little more time on this, and then I got a jet. Let me go back up to the weekly data. Let's see. Mesa. Is that in here? Or is it? No, it's not. But Mesa is basically Phoenix, right? I can do Phoenix. I can't do Mesa, though. They don't have it on here. Too small of an area, I guess. But it's probably gobbled up by the Phoenix market. So this may not help a ton, but we'll look at it. So Phoenix, 9.3% up in new listings. Definitely more new listings. Active inventory. Now it's starting to head down in active listings. 30% up higher than last year. Pending sales, what are those doing? Up 5%. Oh, I'm sorry, up 0.5%. So not as many people. That's 1,700 pending sales. New listings are what? 1,800. So you have like 100. So this kind of tells you the story too, right? You've got 100 more new listings than you do pending sales, right? Yeah, approximately 100 more. So it's not that many. If you saw, I just can't say this enough. If you see a market where new listings are like 1,800 and pending sales are like 200, or new listings are like 5,000 and pending sales are 1,500, well, you know then that there's a lot more sellers out there than buyers, right? Pretty easy to figure out. Well, in Phoenix, it doesn't look like that's the case. It doesn't. And the median sale price now is higher than last year, barely higher, 467. So let's go back to active listings. I mean, it's starting to head down, but you're at 30% above last year. I mean, it is a 4-year high by far in active listings. But if you're buying a house at 400 grand, now look, every market's very sub markets are different. Everything's very, very localized. But just from an overview standpoint, if you're buying something at 400 and the median sale price is 467, and I don't know what type of house you're buying, you could be buying like a fixer upper or something. But if you're buying under the median, I would assume that the market was pretty tight at that price point. Was it? I don't. Yeah, I'd like to know. I mean, were there a lot of homes available to pick from, or was it like, man, at 400 grand, the choices aren't great. So please let us know that, because I want to know if there are good, affordable, move-in ready homes on the market that people are just not buying, or is it like overpriced or junk? So let us know. I don't know how to say your name. XEJI. But I'd like to know. Sacramento. Okay. You twisted my arm. Sacramento. Sacktown. Shout out to Mr. Jason Walter in Sacramento, California. He's another YouTuber. Helped me tremendously with my channel when I started. A lot of people think that like mix me up with him, or think that I'm him and he's me, but that's not the case. 4.3% in new listings. Active listings. Wow, look at that. 5,900 actives. And new listings were how many? 681. Pending sales. 537. So you are building a little inventory. You are, not much. Median sale price. Wow. 599. Sacramento's expensive. Up 1%. Just kind of hanging out sideways, I guess. But new listings aren't like skyrocketing by any means. I mean, back in 2022, you had 895 hit the street, with pending sales back then at 768. But that, and let's look at active again. Yeah, I mean, every year active listings looks, except 2023, active listings went up this time of year. So that's not abnormal. There just are more homes on the market. Let's look at median days on market and see what we see. Median days on market. You're a 4-year high right now, 19 days. Boy, that's not much at all. Back in 2022 was 8 days. Is that a big difference? Not really. So my guess is that if a home is sitting next to other homes in Sacramento that are very similar, that have been on the market a while too, you could probably get a discount. But let's look. 99.4. So that's the average sale to list price ratio. Sellers are basically getting what they're asking for a home on the final list price. They also have price drops on here. I haven't been looking at that. Just too many data points. But let me look at what in the world? Days to close, homes sold. Huh. New home sold appearing sales. They took it off. Median days, age of supply, months supply. Unless I'm missing it here. Yeah, they took it off. That's weird. Why did they do that? I wonder what happened. Right? Active inventory with price drops. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how many homes had price drops. Not on here. It's usually on here every time. Huh. Okay, can't do that. Sorry. Let's look at that. Months of supply. Let's look at that. Yeah, look at months of supply. 13.7 weeks of supply, which is what? Just around 3 months. So it's definitely still a slight seller's market there, but it's not like, it's not an extreme seller's market, but it's not a buyer's market either, probably. That's what I see anyway. So it looks like maybe you get some discount, but not like, where did we look where prices were like headed down. Denver was like that, right? I would think Denver was like that. We haven't looked at a lot of areas where prices are down a ton. I don't know if you've noticed that. Have you noticed that? I have. Yeah, there's not a lot of metros today are prices are down. Dallas, right? Seemed like there's some price cuts. Let's look at. Everybody wants to know about this. Let's look at Fort Lauderdale. Active listings in Fort Lauderdale up 18%. Let's look at new listings. Look at this, down 7%. What in the world? Median sale price, what's that doing? Wow. So, like, look at this. Median sale price in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, $476,000. It's nearly an all-time high. Yeah, it is. All-time high. Okay. I mean, where's the crash there? You tell me. I'm looking. I'm trying to find it. I'm looking. I don't see it. Huh. What? You know, I would have guessed there would be carnage there. There are a couple areas there in Florida that are not doing well. Cape Coral, Florida. Like, look at this one. If you're hoping for a crash nationally or in your metro, like a big crash, this is what you'd probably want to see, right? I mean, you're down 7% year over year. Median sale price, $367. It peaked at $421. That's a big discount, right? The big off. I mean, but look at what I mean. That's a good amount of change in median sale price. Let's look at new listings and see what happened there. So now it's down, right? Down 7.6%. But look back in look back last year. New listings went straight up, and it even went straight up this year at the beginning of the year in Cape Coral, Florida. Then it went, let me go back to active listings and see what we see. Yeah, you're 21% higher than last year, 13,000 active listings. But like every year, you've had more and more active inventory, more and more. Like back in 2022, look at this, you had 3,700 active listings. Now you've got 13,000 active listings. This type of chart is what you need to see if you want a lot of price decline. Without this type of data, it's not going to happen. There's nobody selling. There's not any inventory, no competition or little competition. But I mean, a change from 3,000 to 13,000, that's a lot. I mean, that's a big change, especially when, let's look at pending sales and see what they did. Yeah, look at pending sales normally. I mean, you only have in 4 weeks, you only have 419 buyers right now. Back when the inventory was higher, you had 600 buyers. And with new listings, 671. So when you only have 400 and some buyers actually buying homes, but you got 671 hitting the market every week, you're going to obviously see price decline. It's just a lot more inventory hitting the street. Anyway, that kind of illustrates it. But median sale price there is now. So there's a crash for you. If you're looking for a crash, we found one, Cape Coral, Florida. You know what the other one was? Oakland, CA. Look at Oakland, down 9%, but then 979 grand. But now it's going up. Like the price started this year at 860 grand. Now it's 979, not near like the peak. I mean, obviously the peak was back in 2022 at $1,097,000, 15% increase year over year. So what did their new listings do in Oakland? 8.9% right now. That's how many do they have? 676. How many do they have in 2022? 878. 200 more listings. I wonder what days. Let me look at active. Then, wow. That's a big change, right? Up 40% in active inventory, 5,400 units. Last year, you had 3,700 units. So that's 2,000 more year over year. What about median days on market? This is 18. Huh. I expect it to be a lot more than that. Last year, 13. The homes are sitting a little longer, I guess. But let's look at months of supply. I expect this to be really high. Yeah, look at months of supply. 14, which isn't even 4 months of supply. But my guess is that homes have been hitting the market. People haven't been buying them. That active inventory continues to build and build and build to a point that homes are everywhere for sale. And so prices come down. Hmm. Anyway, that's Oakland. Oakland was on their list of the top markets that are crashing, I guess. So there's some prices that are down. Great. Okay, I'm how long have I been on? 2 hours and 15 minutes. Not a record, but dang close. I want to look and find if what's her name? I don't know if it was a girl or not, but Black Butterfly responded. Here we go. There's 4, including mine. Mine is priced the lowest. Oh, your condo. Good. That's, I mean, that may help move it. That may help move it. You're welcome, Jordan. What city or state do you think is the best market to look for? We start looking for a home. Oh boy, I don't know. It really depends on what you want, right? What type of home you want. I mean, like if you go to Zillow into their data center, you can look at like an affordability map. It'll tell you where homes are the most affordable. I mean, if that's what you're after, a lot of Midwest areas are affordable. Uh, you know, Detroit is really affordable. Cleveland's affordable. Columbus is still, areas around Columbus are still considered affordable depending on where you live in the U.S. now. They're affordable. If you're local, they're not, but it's all about perspective. Yeah, and then I would, definitely areas in the Midwest, middle of the country, show affordability. Or if you wanted to find a deal, you obviously could go to some of these markets where inventory's rising a lot. There's a lot of variables there. It'd be hard to answer. But thanks for the question. Sorry, I can't be more helpful there. I thought you his alt account at first. Won't lie, Jason Walter. Oh yeah, a lot of people did. Maybe that's what helped me take off. Start my channel. I don't know. We both have glasses, right? Both Jason. He's 1 S. I'm 2 S's. I was looking to find out what somebody in here asked. It's all overpriced junk here. Anything under 600K is moving. Yeah, that's what I thought. So like during the GFC, I think what we saw, and I wasn't in real estate then. I was in the home construction, but not real estate. I think what we saw was even homes that were decent were sitting, right? Nothing was selling. So it was common to see a home that was decent, priced in the right price point, maybe even low, and still not selling because there was just too much inventory. We had upwards of 4 million homes for sale. Now we've got like a 1.1, 1.2 million. So you think the GFC is here again? I mean, you've got a lot of work to do. I think folks forget though, American housing isn't built to last 100 years, even 75 years. You're rebuilding constantly on older homes unless you spend a decent amount and do it right. And even then, yeah, like, so I own rental properties, and mostly duplexes and triplexes and quads. There isn't, my newest property is 1940. That's the newest property I have, going on 100 years. And most of my houses, I don't really have a lot of houses. They're mostly little apartment buildings. They're all built like in 1900, 1910, 1920. One was built in 1880, 1890, something like that. So they're all still standing, and their foundations are like stones that are, massive stones, massive, big stones. And they last, but you got to do work on them. You always got to do work. Renovation is not cheap, people. That's a myth of myths. That is a myth of all myths in myths in real estate, American real estate. Yeah, I mean, it's not inexpensive. You just have to plan it correctly, right? You just got to plan it correctly. Okay, guys, listen, you were tremendous today. I learned a lot. I hope you did. And I certainly learned a ton from what's happening in all these different markets across the US. So I'm very thankful for your attention and your time. And if you want just Ohio data, I opened that Ohio YouTube channel, Ohio Housing Nerd, and be on the lookout for more and more videos. My tax video I did a couple days, like a week ago, that thing blew up. A lot of response on the tax video. I have another one coming out soon. So if you participated in that, thanks a lot for the contribution there and today. And until the next video, I'm the Housing Nerd, and I'm out. We'll see you. OUT out.